The body of Russia's ambassador to Turkey will be flown to Moscow later on Tuesday. Andrey Karlov was assassinated by a gunman in Ankara on Monday evening. Turkey's foreign minister will hold a ceremony for Karlov at Ankara's airport. The gunman was a police officer who shouted, "Don't forget Aleppo," as he pulled the trigger. He was later shot dead by Turkish special forces. Turkey and Russia have described the attack as a provocation to strain what they call their good relations. Well, Andrey Karlov was a diplomat for 40 years. He spoke Russian, Korean and Turkish. He worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the former Soviet Union and Russia, as well as foreign missions. He was born in 1954 in Moscow, where he went on to study international relations at the State Institute. He began his diplomatic career in 1976 and was posted to the USSR's embassy in North Korea in 1979. He became the Russian ambassador to Turkey in 2013. Let's go to Daria Bondarchuk, who joins us from Moscow, and get the reaction from there. And Daria, as we heard there in Andrew's report, there has been a lot of concern about the impact on relations between Turkey and Russia as a result of this incident. But both those leaders, President Erdogan and President Putin, very keen to show they are actually on the same page on this.
Yes, as Vladimir Putin said, that this assassination was a clear provocation and an attempt to derail the efforts of Turkey and Russia to normalize ties and to advance on the Syria issue and bring some sort of peaceful resolution to the problem. Various officials here have also stressed that this sad incident should not undermine those efforts and will not affect relations between Russia and Turkey, which have started to normalize since last year, in the end of the summer last year, this year, I beg your pardon. Of course, Russian Foreign Ministry has condemned the act and as act of terrorism, international terrorism, and has highly praised the late ambassador for his efforts to help ties between Russia and Turkey normalize, as he was involved and he was heading Russia's embassy in Turkey when the tragic incident with a Russian fighter jet happened, when it was shot down last year. And then this year, as relations have started to normalize, and he did put in a lot of efforts into helping those ties normalize.
Daria, I'm interested to know how this incident has gone down in Moscow with the people of Moscow. So we know what the official reactions have been, but it's interesting because if you look at Turkey and look specifically at the intervention of Russia in Syria, the Turkish people are perhaps not on the same page as President Erdogan. I just wonder what the reaction is in Moscow.
Well, media has been widely reporting this since last night, as the incident and the news about them developed and as reactions have started coming in. And of course, there's a strong condemnation on the official level, and from all over the world, reactions have been in support of Russia and a condemnation of this act of terror. And just generally, people here see this as a sad incident, and of course, something that was targeted that was aimed at Russia, and a sort of a revenge for its involvement in Syria and its efforts to try to bring the Syrian conflict, this long war, to an end. Of course, as this comes just on the eve of the trilateral talks that are due to be held here in Moscow, this is seen as an attempt to undermine Russia's efforts and an attack directly at Russia. But as Vladimir Putin has said, the only response to this attack would be stepping up Russia's efforts in fighting international terrorism, and the terrorists will feel that. And this is something that is shared by the Russian public, that this attack only would make Russia's response only stronger, and it will step up efforts in fighting international terrorism, and in particular its actions in Syria.
Okay, many thanks for that, Daria Bondarchuk there in Moscow.